Have you ever changed your opinion because everyone around you seemed to believe something different? Have you ever done something you did not actually want to do simply because everyone else was doing it? Have you ever stayed silent when you knew you should have spoken up? Because speaking up would have made you the odd one out. If any of those feel familiar, you have experienced one of the most powerful forces in all of human psychology. And it is not weakness. It is not lack of confidence. It is something far more ancient and far more deeply wired into your brain than you realize. For most of human history, the group was everything. If you were part of the group, you survived. If you were cast out from the group, you died. This is not a metaphor. This is the literal reality our ancestors lived in for hundreds of thousands of years. Alone in the wild, without shelter, without protection, without food sharing, a single human being did not last long. And so the human brain evolved a powerful drive, a drive to belong, a drive to conform, a drive to monitor what the group was doing and adjust your own behavior accordingly. This is called the herd instinct, and it is not a flaw. It is one of the most important survival mechanisms our species ever developed. The problem is that we no longer live in the environment it was designed for. The threats are different now. The stakes of standing out are different, but the brain has not received that update. So it still treats social disapproval like a life-threatening emergency, and it still compels you toward conformity, even when conformity is not in your best interest. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Solomon Asch conducted a series of experiments that revealed something deeply uncomfortable about human behavior. He placed participants in a room with several other people who were secretly actors following a script. The group was shown a simple card with a line on it, and then 3 comparison lines of different lengths. The task was obvious. Which line matches the original? The answer was completely clear to anyone looking at it. But then the actors in the room all gave the wrong answer, out loud, confidently, and one by one, and what Asch found was extraordinary. In a shocking number of cases, the real participant gave the wrong answer too. Not because they could not see the correct answer, but because the social pressure of being the only one who disagreed was more powerful than the evidence in front of their eyes. He doubted what they could clearly see because everyone else seemed to see something different. This is conformity, and it is operating in your life right now in ways you almost certainly have not noticed. Here's the neuroscience behind why this happens. Your brain is a social organ. It evolved in a social environment, and one of its core functions is to track social consensus, to monitor what the group believes, to monitor what the group does, and to align your behavior with the majority. Because for most of human history, the majority was usually right. If most people in your group avoided a certain plant, it was probably poisonous. If most people in your group ran in a certain direction, there was probably something dangerous coming from the other direction. The crowd was a source of information, and deferring to the crowd was a rational survival strategy. But in the modern world, crowds can be wrong. Crowds can panic. Crowds can follow bad ideas for decades. Crowds can normalize things that should not be normal. And your brain, which still treats the crowd as a reliable information source, has no built-in mechanism for questioning whether the crowd might be mistaken. That mechanism has to be consciously developed. It does not come for free. Same psychological mechanism that made conformity adaptive in the ancient world is now being deliberately exploited by every major platform and brand you interact with. This is called social proof. And it is one of the most powerful persuasion tools ever discovered. When you see that a product has 10,000 5-star reviews, you are more likely to buy it, not because you have evaluated all 10,000 reviews, but because your brain interprets that number as social consensus. If that many people liked it, it must be good. When you see that a post has gone viral, you are more likely to engage with it. Not because you have critically evaluated the content, but because virality signals that the crowd has already endorsed it. When you see everyone at a party doing something, you are more likely to do it too, not because you have decided it is what you want, but because the crowd is doing it, and the crowd feels safer than standing alone. Every social media platform is designed around this mechanism. Every number of likes, every follower count, every trending label, all of it is engineered to trigger your conformity instinct. And it works because the instinct is real, and it is powerful, and it is ancient. And most people have no idea it is happening to them. So how do you escape the pull of the crowd? Not by becoming contrarian, not by disagreeing with everything the majority believes. That is just conformity in reverse. Following the crowd to seem different is still following the crowd. The goal is independent thinking. forming opinions based on evidence and reasoning rather than on what the people around you seem to believe. And there are 3 practices that actually help. The first is to notice the social pressure before you respond to it. When you feel the pull to agree with something, pause for one moment. Ask yourself, do I actually believe this? Or does it just feel safer to agree? That pause is the gap between automatic conformity and conscious choice. The second is to seek out disagreement deliberately. Find people who believe different things. Read arguments you are not naturally drawn to. Ask yourself, what would I believe if I had grown up surrounded by different people? Because much of what you believe is not actually your own conclusion. It is the conclusion of the group you happen to grow up in. The third is to separate what is popular from what is true. These things overlap sometimes, but not always. And the willingness to hold a position that is unpopular when the evidence supports it.
适才还没融为你作为笔之后的心象。
The pull of the crowd is one of the oldest forces in human psychology. It kept your ancestors alive. It helped build civilizations. And it is still shaping your decisions right now in ways you may never have stopped to examine. You do not have to resist everything the crowd believes. Most of the time, the crowd is roughly right about most things. But the moments that define your life, the decisions that actually matter, are almost always the ones where you have to be willing to stand apart, to trust what you see, to say what you believe, even when everyone else is saying something different. Subscribe to Level 1, because every week we explore the psychology behind why humans think, feel, and behave the way they do, and what you can actually do about it. See you in the next one.